Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another week of the MMA Huddle. We've had a little break, which was very welcomed for myself and Will. We got to recharge our Duracell batteries, pop them back in, and we're ready to go again for the next 3 weeks. And then we get another break, another little holiday. So, because this thing called, Seasonal Greetings, to be politically correct, is happening. And we are heading over to Washington, D.C. for this week, where you have the Reem against the Roza, and it's going to be an interesting short notice step in, and it's a heavyweight main event, so fingers crossed it doesn't go 5 rounds because it'll look a bit sloppy probably. But we are going to go to that card. Obviously, before we kick off, please hit that subscribe button. It means a lot that so many people joined us this year, and the more the merrier. Hence the, get that, the merrier, Christmas, yeah? And look, folks, we love you all. Join the conversation below. Give us your picks on this card. Give us your bets. Let's get talking. Let's get the kind of communication going. And again, you know, we're going to look to maybe do something before the new year, me and Will. Maybe like a sort of end of year wrap up, let's say. Just a discussion of the year. It'll be a live kind of stream, so we'll want people to jump online and join in and join the conversation as always there, and we'll just chat and have a good fun with all of you. Will, how has your time off been, my brother?
It's been good. It really has. I do kind of miss it a little bit when you've been around, and you've been doing this for a while as well. You happily, especially nowadays, you take these breaks because the UFC is so all over the place, and they do these long stretches of like 3 months at a time now, and like 42 cards a year, whatever it is. That the time that you do get off is very much needed at times, and I've really enjoyed just completely staying off social media, doing a couple of different things, just getting out and about, and just sometimes you don't realise how much time it kind of taken up watching this, watching that, even doing this. But I'm glad to be back. We've got a nice wee run to end the year off. Then, like I say, we've got another break, and then we start off 2020 with a bang with the UFC 246. So yeah, but like I'm just going to reiterate what John was saying regarding our channel, regarding helping us grow it. We were speaking before we came on here about, I think it was 600 or something, right, to get subscribers for the year. We're at 900, so we're knocking on having 1,000 subscribers, which is a big number for us to have. So if you can get us to 1,000 as soon as possible, that would be awesome. But yeah, I'm looking forward to get back and speaking some fights for the next few weeks.
Yeah, and we're going to start off, like I say, Washington DC. We're going to kick the card off. There's been a couple of late changes, so we're not sure the structure of the card yet. So we're going to go off what we've got here before us, which is the Wikipedia page. And we're going to start with the featherweight division, Will. We've got Billy Quarantillo, who's meant to face off against Chris Fishgold, but sadly he's out, injured. And instead we've got Jacob Kilburn, who was previously on Dana White Contender Series and has fought on Island Fights. Starting off the card for us, what are you looking forward to in this scrap there, bro?
Not much, if I'm being honest with you. I was looking forward to more when Fishy was fighting Quarantillo, but that thing's all changed up. I hope Fishy's okay, that if he's got injured it's not too bad or whatever it is that he pulled out with. I think that in that fight with Fish, I thought that Billy had a chance to kind of win that fight if he could kind of win the long game in that one. This one here, like, Kilburn's obviously coming in short notice. We've seen him on the Dana White Contender Series. Lost to Bobby Moffett. I didn't think he looked all that great on the show. And then he's went back out, like you said, to Island Fights. And actually, randomly, was watching this dude on the Thursday night. It was like 3 o'clock in the morning, and it was a UFC Fight Pass. And I was like, oh, they've got live fights on. I'll watch there. And he had a vicious knockout. Really vicious knockout. I think it's Javanius Ross that he fought.
Yes, the left hook.
Left hook, dirty knockout, filthy knockout, and he's won himself a couple of fights since the Dana White show. So, in short notice, if you go obviously in that show, you're recognised. If you're on Fight Pass, you're maybe in the forefront of the matchmakers' minds, and he's got himself a couple of fights. After he won a couple of fights, now he's got himself a UFC fight. So, I don't honestly. I think both guys are fairly low level. And I think this could kind of really go either way. But I like Quintillo's grappling. I think he can push Kilburn up against the fence a little bit. And I think on the feet, maybe Kilburn throws more combinations, throws more heat with his strikes. But yeah, I'll go Quarantillo. Not super confident in the fight, but I'll pick him to win this one now.
Yeah, nice pick, bro. I'm with you. I think Billy has got this fight to win. He's obviously taking advantage of the short notice that Jacob's coming in at, but also he's got a slightly better kind of all-round skill set. I think getting the when he gets you to the ground, his goal is to get you to the back, get you back. When he gets you back, he's pretty good on the back when he gets there. You know, he can land some heavy ground and pound. He's got some good choke attempts, and I think that's going to be the goal for him in this fight. I think standing with Kilburn's a bit of a silly move to make because it's a risk factor. Because that left hook, like you said, Will, before, it wasn't even he didn't even crack that heavy. Like he didn't cock up the punch. He didn't load it up. He didn't do anything massive. He just kind of whipped out a left hook, and it didn't look like much. And that dude got murked. And then there's another fight online on Fights that he had as well, where he starched a guy with, I think it was a right straight. I think it was a jab, then a right cross came across and put the guy to sleep. And that was another one. So the guy, he's got some kind of power there that's just relaxed power as well. So why take the risk in standing with him when maybe the guys he fought maybe weren't that great, maybe, but even if you're Billy, you know, he is open to getting hit in striking department. Billy's not got the best defense standing up. He's got quick hands himself, but for me, I think Billy just needs to get the fight to the ground. It's far superior there for him with the grappling aspect that he has, especially the back takes. So I'm going to go with a rear naked choke for Billy. I think he can get the back of Jacob in the first or second round and get a squeeze in a choke there. So I'm going to go with Billy on that one. And next up we have another adjusted matchup. And we've got Virna Jandiroba against Mallory Martin, who's getting signed up from Invicta. Both girls are basically former Invicta FC competitors, and Virna is Virna is a very accomplished grappler. She's starting to tidy up her striking a little bit more. She does every now and then have a tendency to throw wayward punches, kind of overextends with them, makes them look a bit obvious, and it's a bit frustrating because it's almost like she's just throwing them out there for the sake of it. For me, when she throws over the big, like a looping overhand right is something that she throws. I wish she'd set it up with like a low single leg attempt as well. So she throws the overhand right, brings Mallory's guard up, for example, which exposes the legs for a grappling in exchange, maybe go for a single, double leg, etc. But she doesn't do that. She kind of just throws the hands up just to throw them. Mallory, she's still early in her career. She's not the polished article, but she's not a bad competitor at all. She has got some good qualities to her. I think that she might get a bit found out here. And I think that she's not as aggressive as I'd like her to be. I think Mallory's going to try and maybe grapple on the cage with Virna, because Virna will have the reach advantage, and while also Virna, I think, will have probably a bit more pop in the power of the strikes than Mallory. I think Mallory, when she gets to the cage, though, you've got to be careful, because Virna's got some actually good kind of judo hip tosses and leg trips. I actually see Mallory doing this, getting to the cage and getting taken down with these kind of leg sweeps and trips, and Virna gets on top. And to me, I think she's got the grappling aspect to get a submission. So I'm actually going to go for another submission win here. I think that Mallory will just get, short notice, UFC debut against a challenger who's, legit girl. She won a title in Invicta, defended a belt. I think it's just a bit early for Mallory. I wouldn't mind seeing Mallory maybe going back to Invicta after this, just to polish things up, but it's not bad exposure for her. But yeah, I'm going to go with Virna, probably submission win in some point in the fight.
Yeah, I see this being kind of close. I do. I've watched pretty much all of Mallory Martin coming through. I think, except maybe her first fight, I didn't see that when she fought in China, but she's a girl I knew about for a long time. And I've seen her come through, obviously Invicta. When you see them come through there, you kind of clap eyes on them and so on. But then she's I think after her first couple of fights, she had a couple of losses in her first 3 fights, but the people she lost to aren't bad fighters. Macy Barber. Yeah. We've seen what she's like. She's a big heavy hitter, and so Sonna Davisdottir is actually a really solid fighter herself out of Iceland. But since then, she's reeled off 5 wins. Been on the Dana White Contender Show. I think she fought a good fight in that one, but she went to decision, and she was in I think that night there was the people that were having big knockouts and big submissions as well. So ultimately never got an opportunity, which is fine because she can go back to Invicta like she did a few months later and looked pretty dominant over Cynthia Arceo.
Yeah, she did.
But I like it, at times it may play into Virna's hands a little bit where she could get takedowns, but I would like to see her if she could get into a top position here, because I think she's got like a work rate that could possibly just wear out Virna Jandiroba a little bit. I think she's got a really good 15 minutes and a good gas tank to really go for it. She is the bigger fighter here. Whether she's going to be the stronger fighter, I don't know. Jiu-jitsu advantage, if she gets into positions where Virna has her back with it, I think she might struggle a little bit. But I'm going to take a shot at Mallory Martin in this spot here. I think if she can get top position and start to wear out Virna Jandiroba, now she's got a lot more experience than what Mallory has. But I'll take a shot at Mallory Martin. I think if they get into scrambles, she could possibly get into a top position where she might stay there for a longer part of the fight. On the feet, I actually think it's where she could have an advantage as well. So as long as she doesn't make silly mistakes and rushes things, because if she rushes things and maybe pushes Jandiroba up against the fence, she could easily get taken down, because I think Jandiroba's actually, I think she's always did judo growing up as well. So it's a tough fight. It wouldn't surprise me if I seen Virna get her down and maybe get a submission out of it, like you said. But I'm going to take a shot on Mallory here to maybe win a decision. But it might be one of those fights that kind of looks like Virna should maybe get the nod and maybe Mallory somehow sneaks it. But I'll take a shot on Mallory Martin at this spot here.
Nice, bro. Next up we have in the middleweight division a gentleman who I'm surprised is still signed with the UFC. Trevor Smith. Taking on I've got to admit, kind of digging the dude. Makhmud Muradov. Will, I think this is what I call a gimme. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I'm kind of... Trevor Smith's tough. He's very, very hard-nosed. He's a tough guy to fight. There's no frills about him. You know what he wants to do. He wants to take you down. He's a wrestler by trade, so he's a grinder. So I don't think he's got any wins in the UFC by stoppages. So he's a 15-minute fighter, and that's something that, again, some of these newer guys coming in could potentially kind of hurt them down the road. But when you look at Muradov, I think he's too fast. He hits too hard. I think he can grapple as well. I think that I just think that Muradov's going to really beat him up in the feet very, very quick. I think his combinations are going to land super, super quick. Like I said, the only way I see Trevor Smith really winning this fight is get him to the ground and establishing a base where Muradov can't get back to his feet. Now, in saying that, I bet Muradov in his last fight, and I actually thought Chirico actually beat him. I thought that was, when I was watching live, I thought you lost that fight. Watched it back, I still thought he lost that fight. But ultimately, the judges saw different. So the other guys that get paid to make those decisions. But I just think this is a really good matchup for Muradov. He's coming in here. I think it was supposed to be Alonzo Menefield.
This card's had a lot of changes.
It has had a lot of changes. So, but Muradov's a guy that he's kind of got a little bit of hype around him because he's this money team guy that.
Yes.
He's kind of signed up to there, and they're kind of blowing smoke up his backside and stuff. But I like these fights before he came into the UFC. I think he can take guys down. I think he's super quick. He's got power, very athletic as well. I just think his quickness here and his power is going to be too much. I think he's going to knock out Trevor Smith probably in the first round. I think he's going to take him out here. So I've got Makhmud Muradov via TKO.
Nice, bro. Nice. I'm with you on the winner. I think that his jab is going to be the big deciding factor. He's got a lovely, and like you said, I think that's partly with the team that he's with. They will have worked on his boxing, his crisp striking, and in boxing, jabs win fights. Jabs dictate the pace of the fight, dictate the distance, and it's something that he does, and that's something with Trevor Smith you need to use. With Trevor Smith, you need to keep the guy away from you because he's just going to close you in. Look at the most elusive guy in the UFC. Elias Theodoro. I know he's cut now, but he was the most elusive. He would hit, run away, and he was hard to get hold of. He was hard to get with. But Trevor Smith made that fight in Liverpool super tight, and Elias himself engaged in grappling as well. But you saw when you did that, it was a lot closer, the fight, than it should have been. Because Elias was getting some good shots on him, landing some good shots on Trevor, but just couldn't get the finished product in because the gap kept closing. I think this fight is one of them ones where, like you said, Will, I think Muradov is just going to use that jab and get those kind of distance and points on the board for the rounds. Would I see a late stoppage? Potentially. But I think for this one, it's just a fight where you just want to get the jab, keep him away from you, keep him off you. I just think Trevor's not going to be able to get his head around that striking. He's not going to get his head around being able to stop Muradov landing the jab. I think if it goes to the ground, I think Muradov could probably get himself up again, but I just don't think there's enough in him. And Trevor Smith to really get me excited, if I'm brutally honest with you. I don't, it's kind of cut and paste what he's going to do. So I'm going to go with Muradov as well, bro. Next up, we have in the lightweight division, Matt Wiman getting another fight after the Luis Pena demolition, destruction, whatever word you want to use, or reality check, that he's way off the mark of what's needed, against Joe Solecki, I believe it's pronounced. Won on the Dana White Contender Series. So, again, I know what Matt Wiman isn't current high-level competitor in the UFC in regards to matches, but as a whole, he is a very established and resourceful fighter. I won't lie, on the ground, Matt Wiman looks like he's got a bit about him, but I think he's still on the feet. He's open so bad to getting hit, and he does not take a punch well. Like, he was not taking punches well. In the grappling exchanges against Luis Pena, he was getting cracked. He wasn't, and it was worrying because it seemed that he kept trying to keep going for the submission when it wasn't there, and he was still getting hit. Joe Solecki's got good grappling, he's got good submission games of his own game. So if it goes to the mat, I'm looking forward to that side of it, of the grappling, where not necessarily the submission game, but the exchanges before potential submissions get on, whether it be sweeps, and kind of just reversals, anything like this. I'm looking forward to that side of it. But I think Matt's there to be hit on the feet. I think his stand-up's basic, old. It's not changed. It's not developed in any way. I think he's there to be hit. If I'm Joe Solecki, I'm going to be hitting him on the feet. I'm going to try and land some strikes. Joe's got stoppages on the feet as well in his past. So I'm going to go with Joe Solecki. I think that Matt Wiman could win this fight, but I think it's there for Joe Solecki to go and get the win, get a good name under his belt, and for Matt possibly to step away and maybe retire.
Yeah, it's hard to pick Wiman in this kind of sport again. Yeah. A lot happens in 5 years away from this sport. I mean, if you go back 5 years, Conor McGregor, I don't even think was in the UFC then. So it's kind of crazy how swings and roundabouts, aren't they? Probably would have been there actually, but things happen. Like the game changes, and obviously he stepped away for a reason. He went back to working full time, and then he's came back and they've got all these kids. I mean, that was a bad matchup for him against Pena. Pena's, like, he's got a lot of leverage. He can use his reach a little bit. He can take you down. He's got elbows. And Matt Wiman's never really been known for being defensively sound. He eats shots. He always has done. But he is very, very inept on the ground, and that's where Solecki is at his best as well. But when you look at Solecki's last fight in the Dana White Contender Series, I thought he showed off initially some decent striking, was coming out aggressive. But ultimately he wants the fight to get to the ground because he feels he's got an advantage there, and that's what happened. James Wallace tried to throw a kick, caught it, took him to the ground, and instantly kind of jumped on his back really, really quick into the back there, and looked very dominant. And then he got a guillotine choke off the bottom, which is something you don't really see all that often. And when he got it, he put that guy to sleep. So, I think that Solecki's not great, but I think in this spot he can beat Matt Wiman. But if they go to the ground and it starts being... I mean, Matt Wyman's got a lot of experience being on the mat and probably better guys than what Solecki has been. So, yeah, I find it hard picking Matt Wiman in nearly 2020 in a fight in the UFC. So I'll take the youngster to come through here. I think the bet mine's a wee bit kind of off. I think it'll end up playing out, being a little bit closer than that. But I'll pick Joe Solecki. Maybe be a submission. Maybe I'm kind of struggling to find a method there because Wiman's tough. He can eat a lot of damage and keep on coming. So I'll pick Solecki to win in that spot, though.
Yeah, it could be pretty much a pick and fight that with that one. But we're going to go up to next, probably one of the more anticipated fights on the card. If you're into your fighters, featherweight division, Bryce Mitchell against Matt Sayles. I'm curious to see who you're picking and why, because it's a cracking matchup.
Yeah, I'm picking Matt Sayles straight off the bat. I really have liked what I've seen with Matt Sayles in the UFC. Now, he's still pretty raw as a fighter, and he's got some good people behind him coming from a really good gym, and they've been hyping this kid up for a long time, and he came into the UFC, and I mean, he came into the UFC off facing Simón Moraes, who's no longer with the UFC, but that Simón Moraes had a run of fights with really tough guys, and then he followed up against Kyle Nelson, where in that fight, he really kind of put himself in a couple of bad positions where he nearly got submitted, but ultimately he came through and then he managed to find a submission in the third round. He was totally ripping him up in the feet, got some takedowns, but like I say, that's where Kyle Nelson was looking for submissions, nearly caught him. But if you go and have a look around his kind of social media, I think he's taken this fight a lot more serious, or he's really started to make some big changes in his camps to really establish himself as a big UFC fighter. He's kind of lost the dad bod kind of weight. Not that he was ever really out of shape, or it looked like he had a dad bod, but he looks a bit more shredded, a bit more ripped. He looks a little bit stronger. I think I just think he's got the potential to be a really, really solid fighter, but he's facing a guy in Bryce Mitchell who is scrappy. The guys that come, like, he comes from Arkansas. I said this in my one last night. If he were offering a fight down in my garden out the front there, I'm sure he'd instantly throw down the second. He would fight anywhere. He'd fight in the middle of a field with cows kind of surrounding him as well. And that's a hard guy to face, as someone who doesn't stop and doesn't take kind of losing any part of the fight. The guys are hard to really face. And I mean, he's come in there, he faced Bobby Moffett, he got taken down, but did his best to kind of fight back to his feet. And then on the feet, he was starting to level him up a little bit. But I just think Matt Sayles, all in all, it's just a little bit better. But would it surprise me if Bryce Mitchell comes through and, like, because he's got that never say die attitude, and that's something that you've either got or you haven't got, and it's hard to take people out that have got that kind of mentality. So I've got Matt Sayles. I like the betting odds. I think more money will come in Bryce Mitchell as the week goes on, and it might be close to a pick 'em. It's not far off being a pick 'em now, actually, but I've got Matt Sayles. Like I said, I'm just a big fan of his skill set, and I think once he realises he can put it all together when he starts to, he's going to be a tough guy to face, and kind of one of those dark horses that you have to be careful kind of who other fighters are looking to be matched up with, because like I say, I just think he's a really solid overall fighter. So I've got Matt Sayles. I think Bryce Mitchell's tough, so I'll take him via decision.
Yeah, I'm with you on the Sayles side of things. I'm picking Sayles. I think that he, as well as training with Dominic Cruz, who's like one of his main sparring partners, footwork is one of the key things when you watch Matt Sayles. He likes to do a lot of footwork, a lot of movement, a lot of feints, lots of feints. And that's one of the things that is one of the stronger weapons that he has, because he puts so many feints and movements in. The opponent, whether it be Bryce or whoever he's going to face, can't get their rhythm going. They can't apply their style because they're constantly flinching, anticipating a potential attack and strike, and it's a deadly combination to have if you can throw the feints as well as the combinations. You're laughing, really. Good examples are, like you say, when you look at the higher echelon fighters, your TJ Dillashaw's, your Dominic Cruz's, even your Marlon Moraes, everyone like that, even Aldo, etc. They got so many feints and good movements and good footwork. They're deadly to come up against. Bryce Mitchell as well. On the ground, I think he's a really good talent. He's really deadly on the ground. You've really got to mind your P's and Q's with this kid, because he will snap on anything, and he's hard to get off. I do worry about his cardio. His conditioning has come into question for me a couple of fights where he gets to the third round, and I just find that he's not he's not the same conditioning as his opponents, let's say. So I'm not saying he's not conditioned, but I just find he's always seems to have his opponents who got a better conditioning line than he has. Now, I don't know whether that be because the grappling aspect, he's just exhausting himself from the grappling. He might be squeezing a bit when sometimes he doesn't need to squeeze and doesn't need to exert the energy. But Matt Sayles does not have an off button. That dude has got insane good cardio for that division, and he's got great footwork even in the third latter rounds. You know, he's still moving around heavy, he's still doing good stuff. I'm going with Matt Sayles. I think that Bryce is a talented kid. I think the pair of them are going to do well in the featherweight division, not just now but in the future anyway. In general, the pair of them is still, this is like an early career for the pair of them. You know, so a loss doesn't mean nothing for either one. But I am picking Matt Sayles. I think that he can just outwork Bryce Mitchell. I think Bryce will not be able to get or figure out the answer to the fight as it goes along. Matt Sayles won't go for a takedown. He'll just stay up on the feet with Bryce. There's no point. And just keep on. Just keep on the footwork, keep on the feints. Decision win, Mr. Matt Sayles. Next up we have in the welterweight division, we have Thiago Alves taking on Tim Means. Both of them are not spring chickens, but both of them have had wars. Both of them have been around a while. But I'm going to go crazy. I'm hoping he doesn't let me down. I want to go. This is a hard one to pick, to be honest with you, because how do you pick Thiago Alves in this day and age? It's really hard. But I'm going to go Tim Means. I know Tim Means has been stopped. I know there's a chance that it can happen again. But that's just what Tim Means fights. That's his style. That's how he fights. He goes in, and either you're going out on your shield or he's coming out on the shield. And I like the style of fight he has. Thiago Alves has taken some licks over the years. Jeez Louise, that kid. How he's not been sparked out yet is beyond me. But there is a tipping point in fighters' careers when it goes, and then that's it, it's gone. Like, Chuck Liddell is the greatest example of that you can ever see. Where one day he has a chin that no one can break, and then the next day he doesn't have it. Thiago Alves could very well be this case. He's got fighting a guy in Tim Means who will want to stand, just like Thiago Alves will, and Tim Means throws great strikes with his kicks, his knees, elbows and punches. And that's exactly what Thiago Alves wants. But when it comes to the clinch game, Tim Means has got those lovely clinches, good elbows. Thiago Alves has a bit of scar tissue and building up over those eyes, so you know, if you can get him cut, get him breaking early, you know, the bleeding, it's all in your favour for the point side of things. If you go into the decision, it looks a lot worse. Thiago Alves, you know, he is doing well considering that he's not performing great. But as long as Tim Means can just keep away from Thiago Alves throwing those little crazy strikes, heavy strikes that he can throw, I'm going to go Tim Means here to get a decision win. Thiago Alves still somehow has been stopped, but I'm going Tim Means' decision. I just think he can, especially in the clinch game, he can apply some elbows, throw some good knees, and use the kicks as well, the teep kicks to try and keep Thiago Alves away and just put Thiago Alves off his kind of rhythm, so to speak.
Yeah, I think this is a good, it's hard to say a good fight for Tim Means. I think he's just got a body type which Thiago Alves is going to struggle against. Yeah. That's what I think if Tim Means fights within his means and doesn't overcommit and doesn't, like, because what happened in that Nico Price fight was he was beating Nico Price very badly in that first round, right? For pretty much the whole...
Nearly finished him.
3 minutes, or maybe 3-4 minutes of that fight. Nearly got him out of there. And then I think he just got too cocksure himself and kept coming forward and ate an absolute buzzer beater from... it
was a right hook, I think it was, wasn't
it? Yeah. And Nico Price can do that with anybody. We've seen that no matter where that guy is on the mat, with his back on the mat, he can knock you out. He just throws everything into everything that he throws. So it's a crazy guy to face as Nico Price, but he was looking good up until there. But I think once he got knocked out, I think he fell down and snapped his ankle as well, which is one of those knockouts where the ankle falls behind you and all the weight goes down it. That's a horrible thing to overcome as well. So he's had surgery on that. Thiago Alves, when you look at, people won't even... There's a lot of fight fans nowadays that won't even know how much a killer Thiago Alves once was. Mm-hmm. I mean, when you go back before UFC 100, this guy was straight up destroying legitimate Hall of Fame champions. He was blowing through them.
Those leg kicks he would apply.
Yeah, he was one of the most feared guys in the welterweight division. And he made it all the way up to fighting GSP at UFC 100. But loads of people, since then, it's really kind of been a tipping point for him, where he's kind of lost more than he's won. I think he's kind of fell back more into the kind of coach role at American Top Team, where he's a messiah to a lot of fighters. I think a lot of people go to him for his striking, which is pretty obviously why, because he is one of the best strikers that we've kind of seen all around, like good strikers. But I mean, he hasn't knocked anybody out since 2015. So not unless Tim Means like just stupidly lowers his hands or whatever and gets caught with a shot, he should be able to pick him apart at range. This is why I thought that Means his kind of body type was just bad for Alves, because he doesn't have to kind of engage with Thiago Alves in close. If he can beat him up from a distance, which I think he can, and not get super aggressive and not get knocked out, because we've seen if you throw a decent shot, you can knock Tim Means out. I just think he's got the body type which is going to keep him at bay. If I'm Thiago Alves, try and get back to those leg kicks, because they're really bad, really hurtful strikes. And obviously he's just had his ankle done, so if you start going after the calf, that may kind of break down a lot quicker as well. Yeah, I've got Tim Means. I actually think he stops Thiago Alves early in the third round, so Tim Means for me there.
Nice. We've got two cracking bantamweight matches up. Next, we've started off with the Rob Font versus Ricky Simón. Will,
yeah,
man,
good.
this is a fun one.
It is a really fun fight they put together. There's some really good bouts they put together, and this is one of them. You've got striker versus grappler fight. You're going to have someone like Ricky Simón who's going to be diving at legs, try to get takedowns.
Yeah.
And for the most part, he probably will get some takedowns. Whether he can keep you there is another thing altogether. But you've got Rob Font, who's going to sit behind a jab, fight at length, and try and pick you off with that. And he probably will land a variety of strikes. It's just whether he stops the takedown during the fight, because I think that there's going to be points where Ricky will get him down, but it's whether he can explode back to his feet. If this stays on the feet for a 15-minute fight, I'd pick Rob Font all day long. But I think there's going to be close like runs between these two, where I just think it's going to be a close fight overall. Ricky obviously is coming off that loss to Uriah Faber, where everybody in the dog was on Ricky Simón, and then Uriah comes out, cracks him, puts him down, and takes him out, which was crazy. I never seen that coming. I'll put my hands on. I didn't think that was going to be the case. But I have liked watching his UFC run. He is a fun fighter to watch, first of all, because he's like 100% all the time. He goes. He's got a great gas tank. Never really gives up on himself. He won that fight with Muradov, even though it was such a weird fight, crazy fight, where it was back and forward. There was takedowns everywhere. There was strikes being thrown everywhere. Muradov's just one of those fighters to kind of crazy to watch as well. And then he got that submission when the fight was pretty much finished, which was weird.
Yeah, it was weird. It was like he was out before the went, but the referee had no. Oh, it was mental. It was go back and watch. If you've not watched that fight, go and watch it. It's a crazy fight. Montel Jackson's a good win to have on your record. I think if Montel were to actually fight again, I think Montel would beat him. I think Montel is a really big dark horse in that division you have to keep an eye on. But I loved his performance against Rani Yahya. I really did. I thought it was a great performance, because Rani is you don't want to go to the ground with this guy, and every time that Rani would try and get in close to maybe go for a takedown, he would sprawl it. He was sensing it a mile off. And when he was on the feet, he was really starting to beat Rani Yahya up, and he was like busting him up pretty badly. And then, of course, there was the Uriah fight where he just got caught, and that happens sometimes. I didn't expect it to be that quick, but it happens. I've got Rob Font in a very, very kind of close fight. I think that while on the feet, he just lands the more strikes and kind of puts more damage on Ricky Simón. But Ricky Simón is one of those guys that it's hard to look good against, for the simple reason he's always moving. So while he's throwing those strikes, not unless they're big strikes that are put him on his backside, it's just that he's a hard guy to look good against, all in all, I think. But I got Rob Font to just kind of beat him on the feet a little bit more and win a very, very close split. Now, I think that Ricky's from the kind of Washington kind of area. He's from the state of Washington. So he's probably going to have the majority of the fans ready to kind of go for him pretty much. But I'm going to go Rob Font via probably a very, very close decision. Yeah, I'm going to split decision for Rob Font. I think that because I don't. The reason why is I don't know the judging criteria they're going to use in Washington DC at the present time. I didn't really look into it, to be fair, so I should have done. But depending on what the judging perspective is, because if they're using the old scoring system, they'll give more for the takedowns. If they're using the modern kind of scoring, his takedowns will be successful, but if Rob Font's able to get up without taking much damage, all you're doing is getting a takedown without the ground and pound or the submission attempts, but then your Rob Font is landing the damage on the feet. And this is where it gets really sticky with MMA, because the two judging criterias really do affect fights greatly on that kind of basis. And I'm not saying that Ricky Simón's bad when he gets you down, it's just that I don't think he does enough when he gets you down. I think he focuses a lot on the control, and he does get some ground and pound here and there, but I'd like to see a bit more from him, whether it be threatening for submissions or getting some more ground and pound in. Rob Font, on the other hand, he has got a lovely combinations of 1-2s and hooks and everything. He set up stuff as well, and he's got some pop in him. Like, he can hit you hard and he can rock your socks. So Ricky Simón's going to want to keep the fight super close. He's not going to want to be letting the fight stay on distance. It'll start quite distance between them, but I think as the rounds go on, I think Rob will just land off those strikes a bit better, and there won't be enough from Ricky on the takedowns. I think he'll get the fight down, but I just don't think he'll get enough landing, because Rob's not going to shoot in for anything, so Ricky's not going to be able to take advantage of any potential guillotines, etc., which he is going to be, obviously people are going to be wary of, but I think Rob's just going to want to keep it standing. Try and keep light on his feet. I think that's a goal for this one for Rob, is don't stick around too much with the striking, and, be cautious of the takedown attempts. So, even if it's a jab and a cross, and then get out of there, use a jab to keep distance. But I'm going to Rob split decision, but I'll be honest, it's the scoring criteria that'll make a difference for me. Next up we have in the bantamweight division, kicking off the main card. Oh my gosh, this is a good fight. Cody Stamann against Song Yadong. The up-and-coming Asian team alpha, female, under male, your male, any sex will do, gym, guided by Uriah Faber, etc. Song Yadong, he's looking very, very impressive so far. Very young. And you got the older kind of wrestling based Cody, who's again a legit fighter himself. I'm looking forward to the styles, because if I'm Cody, I'm going to want to wrestle with Song Yadong. I'm going to keep the pressure on him, get him to the ground, and just wear the kid out. Just say, look, I know you train with Uriah Faber, the boys are Team Alpha Male, they've got a ton of guys there that have got wrestling credentials and wrestling backgrounds that can help Song Yadong, but it's, you've got to remember, Cody's been wrestling for X amount of time. Let's just give Cody, let's give him 15 years, 20 years of wrestling. Right? He's been wrestling for 20 years. Song Yadong's not been wrestling for 20 years, so you've got to take into account the kind of caliber of wrestling that he's going to be going up against. Can Cody get the fight to the ground? Can he keep it down? That's the two main things you've got to worry about. Song Yadong's going to be wary of this. He's going to be, obviously, wanting to keep it on the feet, use those hands, because the guy's got quick hands, quick power. He has had the easier ride into the UFC, Song Yadong, on opponents wise. That first ever fight with, what was it called, Kadiri, who was just utter gopping, who should never be allowed in the UFC ever again. Philip Aranges he had been out for about 600 years, hadn't he, off the top of my head? And he was just coming back. Vince Morales, decision win, so he got a 3-round under his belt, which was good in the UFC. And then the Perez fight was, dude, that knockout. Oh my word, Perez just was dead at him. Cody, on the other hand, I think Cody's looking good. He lost a fight to Aljamain Sterling, but again, that's just Aljamain being an opportunistic grappler with a submission win. The Perez decision, it's hard because he beat Caraway, and you figure the skill set that Cody's got. I was kind of excited by Cody when he came into the UFC. I thought he's got a bit about him, but when he's fighting this kid Song Yadong, you just don't know, do you? I'm going to go with Song Yadong. I'm going to go Song Yadong. Bollocks to it. I don't know. I'm a bit stuck on this one. This is a pick and fight for me because I think Cody, if he just wrestled the fight for 3 rounds and hard wrestled, he might be okay with this and get the win with decisions. But I think Song Yadong's got that pop in his hands and that young kid, no fear kind of gun-ho kind of attitude. I think he can catch Cody and hurt Cody, especially in the later rounds, because I see Cody drop off big time in the later rounds, especially like mid-second round onwards. He really drops off. He takes a foot off the gas. So I'm going to go Song Yadong. I'm going to go finish. Why not? I'm going to go crazy. I'm going to finish Song Yadong, 3rd round. Pow.
It's going to be with if Stamann can establish a takedown game straight off the bat, because if he can't, then I think he's outgunned on the feet. So, and when you look at Song Yadong, I know he's not got much against high kind of level grapplers in the UFC, but he's never been taken down. So it's like if those first few initial kind of grappling exchanges are going to tell a lot how this fight's going to go, because if he doesn't get taken down and he doesn't end up pretty much if he doesn't end up on the ground, then I think he's faster and he hits harder, and I think that's going to put Cody Stamann kind of just at a disadvantage of like even shooting in, because he knows he can't get this kid down. He's a young, strong, athletic. It's actually his birthday today. Song Yadong, so happy birthday, dude. Saying he's 22 years old. I'm not sure whether he's that young. Like those Chinese fighters, you never know what age they are. Really, they could be 37. But yeah, he's definitely not that old. But happy birthday to him. I just think Song Yadong, I mean, that last knockout, Alejandro Perez, was nasty. He's a really big, and he's starting to put his counter striking together. Obviously coming from alpha male. Uriah Faber's got a fight coming up, so he's going to be like, he is a really good grappler. It's Uriah, and you've got all those guys at Team Alpha, whatever you were saying they were called now.
Castillo,
yeah, they've got a lot of legit guys that you can train with. So I like this for Song Yadong. I think that, but it'd be interesting if Cody could establish a takedown game early, because if he can, then I think that his confidence will rise. I think that he will constantly go in and try and time those takedowns right at the right times of the rounds. And if it starts getting into a close fight where he's getting takedowns in the last minute of the rounds, then the fight could become close. But I think if Song Yadong initially stops the takedowns, then I think he's going to start being too good on the feet, too fast, countering when Cody's coming in, and he's kind of short with his strikes a lot as well. He's not got a big reach, and I think you can kind of read him a little bit easier than you can other fighters. So I've got Song Yadong. I'm going to take him probably via TKO. I think this is going to be the fight, the kind of statement fight that he's going to come out here and really announce himself as a top 10 UFC bantamweight here. He's just kind of outside, but might be the guy that who's faced fellow top guys at 135 that really puts himself out there. So I've got Song Yadong via TKO.
Interesting matchup in the women's bantamweight division. Not the males, but the women's bantamweight division. We have Aspen lad against Yana Kunitskaya. Will, 2 women who are kind of up and around that title contendership, so to speak, at the moment. You see, if I think they get a win here between the two of them, they're really putting themselves in there to get close to the title fight. What are you looking at these two girls? Who do you see coming out on top?
Yeah, when you look at both girls, you kind of, when I look at them, I see Aspen Ladd as a fighter who still very young, developing. I don't think she's had the right kind of spots like making weight. I think hopefully she's got that sorted. I think she's been at the UFC PI for a majority of this camp there, so hopefully she's kind of got that in order, because I mean that was harrowing what happened to her last.
Scales.
Yeah, it was. I couldn't watch it. I couldn't watch it, like her grimacing and moving around. It just, you can't do that, especially at the age that she's at, where she's really hurting her body, like only 23, 24 years old at the time. She can't be doing that, because it's going to end up ultimately kind of shutting down organs and all that jazz. And you've seen that those weight cuts, and that's not the first bad weight cut. A chin, she can't take a shot. Now Jermaine Durandamy is a sniper, and that can happen. She can do that with a lot of people, can Durandamy. But those weight cuts are, you can listen to her coach, Aspen Ladd, whatever she may say. I've watched James Lynch interview her coach and stuff. There was the defining factors going into that fight and stuff. I don't care if you're having bad weight cuts like that and continue to have bad weight cuts. a disadvantage straight away. So, but once she gets the fight to the spots where she's strongest, she is an absolute banshee. She runs through people, and she goes. Big power shots, heavy in top position, heavy ground and pound, and that's where she wants the fight ultimately to take place, because I don't think she's a good striker out in distance. You saw Sijara Eubanks really kind of box her up a little bit, and she had that was a close fight initially. This fight here, when you look at Yana, I think she's a more well-rounded fighter in more aspects of the game. So if she initially stops the takedown, then I think she will have a striking advantage. I think then it becomes whether Aspen Ladd's maybe improved her hands, which I don't think she probably has. I still think she's more dependent on getting the takedown. I think she's got one kind of game plan, and that's get the fight to the ground. So where I see Yana having just more places to kind of win the fight, I think her jiu-jitsu is fairly decent as well. I like Yana Kunitskaya in this spot, but if Aspen gets the fight to the ground, then it could be a really long night for Yana Kunitskaya. But Aspen Ladd, I think, is a training partner of us for Aspen's, and they faced off against Yana last time out, so she maybe imparted some of her wisdom onto that. But I'm going to take Yana Kunitskaya in this one. I've got a via decision.
Yeah, she's. I'm with you. I'm with Yana Kunitskaya as well. She's obviously dating Thiago Santos as well. So the pair of them.
The big hammer. Yeah.
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 Well, so I've heard. He's got a big hammer, but she's got a guy like that supporting her. Lots of knowledge, lots of information being fed to her from him. Ray Sefo, striking coach. Say what you want about Ray Sefo outside of the competing side of it, but as a competitor, he knew his stuff. He's very good at striking. He's got that nailed down. And Yana Kunitskaya is really, I think she's been the surprise package in the women's bantamweight division in the UFC. I really do. I think she's put together striking well. I thought she's put the grappling aspect well down into the fights, because I think she can take fighters down, but surprises fighters when she does, because I don't think they expect her to take them down. Aspen Ladd, my only worry, like you say, well, big one is the weight cut, because she's only young and she's growing into that body still. Is she staying at bantamweight? Does she feel that? To be fair, there is no featherweight, but is she trying to get into, is she going to stick around at bantamweight, and how much longer for, and how many times she can do these heavyweight cuts? It's also a factor of not only is her chin not going to be strong, but also the second, third round, your gas tank goes quicker because your body's that depleted. You haven't got that resourcefulness. Yana Kunitskaya can go 3 rounds and she can go hard. She can grapple with you if she wants to, to kind of clinch work and fight that off. And on the feet, she's not too bad at keeping a distance, to be fair. She can keep off with the 1-2s to keep you away. And I think Ladd's going to have a tough time in this one. I think when Sijara Eubanks was lighting her up, I kind of went, whoa, because it was not the fact that she was getting lit up. That'll happen in a fight. Fighters will get hit in fights. You can't forgo that. But it's how you react when you're getting hit. And Aspen Ladd just kind of let it happen, put her head up in a way, chin up in the air, looking away. Didn't have like we drilled this. If I'm getting lit up, my go-to is what? Counter left hook? Is it shoot for the takedown? Is it, circle away? What is it? What is your go-to? Hers was keep getting hit, it said to me. And I was like, okay. So if you're Yana Kunitskaya, I'd be like, oof, gosh, I want to kind of put the pressure on her, put those combinations on her, and see where I can get from there. So I'm going to go Yana Kunitskaya. I think she could actually maybe finish Aspen Ladd in the later rounds if it's a bad weight cut, especially. Depending on the weight cut that is, but I'm going to go Yana Kunitskaya as well. Next up is a fight that I'm not going to spend long talking about myself. Oh, gosh. Stefan Struve returning from having 6 months off. Apparently it was retirement, but I call it just having 6 months off, whatever it was. Fighting Ben Rothwell. Gosh, what an awful fight to make up, because Ben Rothwell's been gopping. Since he's come back from his suspension, he has been absolutely gopping. I don't know who this Ben Rothwell is. It's been fighting his past 2 fights. Stefan Struve, to be fair, is a potential win for him against Ben Rothwell. Ben Rothwell is a winnable fight for him. The same kind of problems hinder with Stefan Struve doesn't know how to use the insanely long reach advantage that he has. How he has not used that still is beyond me. Puts his chin up, hasn't got the best chin, doesn't take a punch well, hasn't got the best footwork, and still doesn't use his jabs and front kicks to the level that he should. But he's fighting a guy in Ben Rothwell who's, I don't know what's going on with Ben, if I'm honest with you. He's not been performing well. He's not been the Ben Rothwell like we've seen before. So I'm going to go with Stefan Struve. I just think that Stefan can land the more strikes with the output of the 1-2s and the body kicks. He does throw good body kicks, Stefan Struve. Well, probably like a lead kick for him, but for everyone else, hits the body. But yeah, I'm going to go with Stefan Struve. But mate, I am not arsed about this fight. I would put the kettle on. In fact, I won't even watch this fight. Probably, I'll just read up on it. Yeah, who you got, Warrow?
I'm going to go with Stefan Struve as well, even though it's like dusty as fudge, pretty much. Like it's not. It's hard to be kind of really kind of confident in either guy here. I thought Rothwell. I thought he was a little bit unlucky against Ivanov, but it was kind of hard to kind of watch him in the Arlovsky fight. Just like he was getting picked apart by Arlovsky, like from the get go of that fight. And I thought that he would kind of mix up a little bit more. But once he knew he was behind, he just kept on coming forward and was getting picked apart really, really badly. He's not looked himself since the USADA suspension. Like I said last night with my predictions, I was like, if you've got a coin beside you, just kind of flip it and see where it lands. When you look at kind of the chin here, if you catch Struve with a decent shot, you can knock him out. Rothwell could probably take a better shot. Struve's obviously, like you say, he never uses his length, his leverage that he's got. He never has, never will probably. But he's still only 31, and that's like super, I think it's 31, 32, super young for a heavyweight. He's been around the UFC for 10, 11 years. But he did retire. Not that MMA retirements really kind of last that long or really matter that much. But yeah, I'm going to go Stefan Struve, but like I said, I've got no confidence in the pick.
And next up we have a co-main event. Marina Rodriguez against Cynthia Calvillo. This is a wonderful fight. Super exciting matchup. Really set the strawweights up, you see, especially these girls. Will, who you're leaning towards? It's not an easy one.
Yeah, it was one that kind of caught my eye initially because it's obviously when I look at fights, it's like you've got a striker, grappler, and that's pretty much what this is here. But you've got Calvillo, who's definitely making strides with her striking. You seen that, I think, against Courtney Casey. I think it was. Was it Courtney Casey? Yeah, it was.
Courtney Casey, hell of a fight. That
she never really went for takedowns, and she was on the feet predominantly, and that's something that you never see. You seen, I actually remember with the Jojo Calderwood fight back in Glasgow, where she was really starting to kind of put her striking together and looked like she was getting better from there. And but you can still see she had a lot of work to do. But her bread and butter is when you get to the ground. Once she gets you to the ground, she's super active down there, and if you give her an opportunity to get in a position where she can get a neck, an armbar, in a position where she can sweep you, whatever, you're in big trouble. Where Rodriguez, she's a kind of kickboxer, uses all 8 limbs, elbows, knees, you name it, and is becoming more steady in the UFC. That Tisha Torres fight, to me, opened my eyes to what this girl could be. She could be a contender at 115. Or 125 or 115, yeah.
115, yeah.
Yeah, I was getting my weight classes mixed up there, but really aggressive striking, doesn't throw single shots, throws combination strikes. If you get into the clinch with this girl, she can start whipping you with elbows and knees and you name it. She can start hitting you from everywhere. That's where I think she's going to start beating up in Cynthia. To me, Cynthia has to get the fight to the ground, because I think if it becomes a stand-up fight, I think Cynthia's kind of fell in love with her striking a little bit more recently. Get back to your bread and butter, which is your ground game, because that's where she can stop the fight, because I think she's got an advantage down there. Cynthia's been at Tiger Muay Thai for this camp. So that's obviously going to probably help with some more of her striking, give her more confidence on the feet. I just think Marina Rodriguez is going to spam the takedowns, and if this is a striking affair, I don't see Calvillo out-striking Rodriguez, so I've got Rodriguez for the win here.
Yeah, I'm high on Rodriguez as well, mate. I think she's a legit contender. I think she's someone you need to be switched on to, like Tatiana Suarez was when she came along, started wrecking ball people. You know, she was on the of the other aspect, where the grappling side of things, you're like, you need to keep an eye on this girl. I think Rodriguez is the same. You need to keep an eye on this girl. I think on a striking perspective, what's scary is how fluid the striking is, and how she's not finding a problem with hitting those combinations off. It just literally rolls off her, and even in the third round, she's deadly. And like you said, that Tecia Torres fight, yeah, I agree. Tecia Torres isn't tall, so it always has a hindrance to it, but she is a badass fighter. Now, I'm already looking forward to. I'm hoping Rodriguez gets the win, because I'd love to see her and Harty go off at each other, because I think that'll be an incredibly fun aspect and fight to watch. But we haven't seen Marina really been tested enough on the grappling side of things with the wrestling, so Cynthia might do that. We might get to see a bit more of Marina, but she's doing well to kind of negate it, you see. I think she's done well the distance management, the clinching side of things. She if you want to get close to her, she punishes you, and that's what's beautiful about it. So she kind of puts you off wanting to get close, but if you're at distance, Cynthia likes to throw the leg kicks. Good luck with that, because Marina will probably check him in and whip in a leg kick of her own, and you're going to really have a rough day. Cynthia's striking against Courtney Casey. She did land some good shots herself. Courtney Casey, she had a good fight herself. That was a cracking fight. To be fair, I enjoyed that fight. It was a good scrap. And Courtney Casey isn't the best striker, and she was landing some good shots. And I think Cynthia's going to have she's going to have a tough time. I know she's been at Tiger Muay Thai, and there's only so much you can absorb in that time in that fight camp that she's been at Tiger Muay Thai, and then apply it in real time situations. When you're training a martial art, like when you're training MMA, you'll be in a fight camp and you'll drill something, but there's only so much that will sink in and so much that will actually go to the cage. So it actually takes it a lot longer than you think to get one thing nailed and applied to. So I'll be interested to see how that goes, but I'm going to Rodriguez as well. I think she'll get the decision win. I think she'll just outclass Cynthia on her feet, and that will be a big difference here. Next up we have another change of bout again, one of the many on this card. The real deal Overeem against, here we go, Jairzinho, Rozenstruik. Now, heavyweight matchup. They're not small. They're big boys. They hit hard. They're both done the kickboxing or K1. He isn't, so they both. So Overeem knows what Rose has done. He knows what he's coming into. It's almost like Reem will be seeing him going, I was you. I was exactly what you were. The difference between Overeem and Rosa is not the MMA bouts and experience, etc. It's actually the grappling side of things. Overeem's got a high level of grappling, and if in this fight, if I'm honest with you, I think Overeem could just pick him apart if you wanted to, the distance. But I'm going to go with Overeem to the win, to get the fight down to the ground and do submissions or ground and pound, because that is something that Rosen is not the best at. He's not a wrestler. His go-to, his bread and butter is striking, and he's good at it, don't get me wrong. He cracks hard, he's got some good stuff, but he's hittable on the feet. I think if I'm Overeem, I'm going to go with the overhand right, which is very landable on Rosa, and enter into the takedown aspect with that. I think it's open there for him. I think it's doable, and I think if I'm Overeem, I'm going to get the grappling aspect in, go straight away, get against the cage, start grappling underhooks, and get the fight to the ground. And really, I'm going to go with Overeem like with first or second round win. I think he's going to get to the fight to the ground in the first, second round and get either a TKO or submission win. I just think that he's far more experienced, far more knowledgeable. He's got the trips and the little tricks to kind of catch you out. I think Rose is still on that early MMA train. He's still not got the kind of level of experience Overeem has, and Overeem fights it a different way now, where he's trying to do his best to avoid the bigger shots and the big hitters, and he does okay with it. Obviously Ngannou's a different kettle of fish, but I think Overeem's probably going to perform well in this one. Overeem's 39 now, I think it is. 39. So yeah, not long. I don't know how much longer Overeem's going to keep going for, but I'm going to go with Overeem decision, stoppage in the second or first, mate.
If this fight to me is like, if Alistair Overeem doesn't realise that this guy is bad on the ground, then what are you doing? Because like this guy, I think if he was to get him down one time, I think he could potentially submit him. I really do. Before I kind of get into the kind of fight, I just want to say, obviously this initial main event was supposed to be Walt Harris.
Yes.
I think if you're a kind of MMA fan and you've been around the last kind of couple of months or whatever, you kind of know what Walt Harris's story is with his daughter and stuff. How sadly last week they found out that she perished to that jackass that they let out of jail. So just like thoughts kind of go out to Walt Harris and his family, because that's just having kids. Me and you got kids. Can you imagine that?
Yeah.
Well, it's like I've got a wee girl who's, I couldn't imagine that happening, no matter what age it is. So like I hope they kind of get through this. It's going to be tough for them, but when Walt pulled out initially and Rozenstruik won against Arlovsky the way he did, I was like, oh, that this guy's going to face Overeem. He's definitely, I thought it was between him and Cyril Gane. Then I definitely thought, yeah, Rozenstruik's going to get this here, and I think it's a good fight. He's going to think it's a good fight because Overeem's chin is dead to rights. It really, if he catches him with anything decent, then from what we've seen from Rozenstruik, the guy's got a death touch. So if he was to hit with a proper shot, Overeem's going to get taken down. But people are kind of forgetting. I'm seeing a lot of people on the Rozenstruik side, but I think people are forgetting just how good a striker Overeem is. That's his bread and butter, and it has been for 20 plus years that he's been around at the highest levels of the sport, through Pride, Strikeforce, the UFC, Dream, you name it. But he's also got a really deadly ground game that, to me, if he doesn't come in here and he decides to stand and brawl with, or stand and strike with Rozenstruik, then he's really get knocked out. The opportunities for him to fight are there from the get-go. He has to fake a couple of shots, throw a couple, maybe jump in for a takedown. Now he's working with Curtis Blades in his camp. Now, they guys are going to be saying, look, this guy is there for the take and you can submit this guy. Just don't get into positions where you're both swinging leather, because I probably think his chin is better than what Reams is, I would think. But we've never seen Rozenstruik really hit with anything too big. But he is probably facing the best striker ever faced. But he ran through Arlovsky. I did not see that coming. I thought Arlovsky would give him at least a fight, push him a little bit. Didn't push him at all. Once he kind of hit Arlovsky with a strike, Arlovsky tried to get it back and just got knocked silly. So the guy's kind of got a death touch. But yeah, I've got Overeem as well. I've got him. I think that if he's smart, which I'm hoping he is, he takes his fight to ground because he has an advantage there. I still don't think he's at a disadvantage on the feet either. I think he's got opportunities to really hurt Rozenstruik. That means if he is swinging up top, then he could get hit with a slight shot and be knocked out completely. So, but the way this Rozenstruik guy is, he kind of reminds you of the way Ngannou came through and stuck guys out. So if he comes through this and does the same thing here, he could be on par with kind of someone like a Rozenstruik. I don't see it with a Ngannou, I should say. I don't see them fighters ever kind of being similar, because I think that both big, obviously, knockout strikers, but I think Ngannou's got a little bit more about him. I think he's a little bit more scarier with his striking. But yeah, I've got Alistair Overeem via submission in the first 2 rounds. So yeah, that's what I've got there.
Yeah, nice. And that's our picks. Don't forget, put your picks down in the bottom of the screen. Let us know who you're going for in the card, especially the main event and why. And then we're going to go over now to bets, Will. I'm sure there'll be some interesting lines on the card. Is there anything in particular you think people should keep an eye out for?
Right, well, have I got one bet or 2 bets? I can't even remember. I made a bet. I know I made a bet, I want to say, close to probably 2 weeks ago, actually, on Alistair Overeem. He was an underdog at the time. He was plus 100. He's now minus 120, where Rozenstruik's plus 100. So that's close to being a pick'em. Would it surprise me if I see Overeem with plus money beside his name? I don't know. I think that money will come in on Rozenstruik because it's still earlier in the week. People will maybe start watching fights right about now. They'll have a look at the line like, this guy, Overeem, can't really take a decent shot. Rozenstruik throws big power, seems to put people down fairly easily. So, like I said, I'm on the Overeem board there. But like I said, not unless you've got a strong stance in that fight, it's maybe just want to sit back and kind of look at and maybe not put money on. But I wouldn't touch the other heavyweight fight. Maybe, I know there's some people on Calvillo at plus 115. I just think that Rodriguez is going to light her up like a Christmas tree there, if they get into striking bouts there. So striking fight. When I look at there's some lines that are a little bit, maybe shouldn't be that high. Quarantillo's like minus 320. I'm like, oh, that's a little bit high. So in a fight that could be relatively close, maybe a little bit of value in Kilburn there, but I would never bet that. Like I said, I'm going to bet Matt Sayles. I am going to bet Matt Sayles. He was an underdog at one point, I think, in the UK.
Oh, nice.
But by then, I think I was on the run about 2 weeks ago when Overeem was there. I thought, all right, I'm not watching anymore. Now he's went to favourite. I still like him at minus 110. He is in the UK here. I would still bet that. So if he sticks around there, or even if he gets lower, I'll be all over that. I'm definitely going to bet him for next week. He's going to be one of my bets. Who else is there? There's the Ricky Simón's plus 125. I think he's going to get a lot of love as an underdog this week. I really do.
What about Alves and Mean? Sorry, what are their odds?
Alves is a plus 225 dog, where Means is a minus 265 favourite.
It's a bit big.
It is probably a little bit big, considering that maybe Means' chin is maybe a little bit deteriorated and he's got injury and so on. But like I said, I'll probably be staying well clear of that. The only other kind of fight that I'm really looking at that I might do some is a parlay with Song Yadong against Cody Stamann. Song Yadong's minus 190, which I kind of like that number in a parlay if I can find a decent piece with it. And Cody Stamann's plus 165. But outside of that, I don't want anything Joe Solecki at minus 325. Mallory Martin's quite a big underdog, but I'm not sure whether I'm going to get on that. Makhmud Muradov minus 410, which I think is a little bit off. I don't think he should be as high as that, because I'm picking him to win like via knockout in the first. But if he fights close, like Trevor Smith's a grinder, and if he's not getting caught with clean shots, then these rounds could maybe look a little bit close on the scorecard. So yeah, as of right now, I've got Overeem bet down. I will have a Matt Sayles bet, and then I might have one or two more, but I've still got to kind of see where the lines are going. I think it's a hard kind of fight card for parlaying. So for me, I'm probably going to have straight picks. But yeah, it's good luck if you're betting anything. Wish you all the very, very best. So yeah.
And put your bets down below. Let us know your bets. We want to know who you're picking, why you're picking them as well, because it's always interesting to see if you've got any parlays. Not just, we've had people put their parlays on that they've got on this week and mixing them up with a fight next week, for example. So it always is interesting to see what you guys are looking for. And if you want any points of view about who to pick and why to pick certain people, do feel free to ask. We're here joining the community, as we call it. Got a great bunch of people on there that talk, and we love you all. So look, that is the picks, that is the bets, that is this week complete, finito and done. Next week we have a quiet card, a couple of nobody names, a fight, what's his name again, Usman something against Cody something, a guy called Hallo something like way, and Volovansky something like that, and Nunes and what's that, Durandamy? I don't know, some kind of fight. There's a couple of fights on. They might be worth watching. I don't know, depends. But there's some other fights on there as well. You got the bantamweight debut of Jose Aldo.
Yeah, you've got
that's going to be interesting. Wonder how quick Martin Moraes will starch him.
Peter Yan's fighting as well.
I was about to say that next against Peter. Yeah,
for that. So yeah, but also like this week, if you're still looking for more MMA, Tito Ortiz.
Oh, of course, that's the biggest fight of the weekend.
yeah. Actually, scrap that. KSW 52's on this weekend.
Scott Askham.
You've got Mami Calvillo coming back. You've got Saladini Parnasse, who I think is going to be a big fight in the UFC. So maybe something to keep an eye on. But there's loads of fights this weekend to keep you entertained. And then obviously there's that tiny little card we've got from Vegas next week to finish up the review year. So yeah, looking forward to talking that one, because there's some big championship fights in that one there, and just big fights in general all over there. Who's on the undercard actually? Because I even think there's really good fight.
Kaya France or something like that. It was on there.
Anna Moreno. That's what that one is. But there's a fight I'm looking forward to. Let me see quickly. We're going to bring this card up. I'm looking forward to seeing Caitlin Vieira coming back.
Yeah.
I'm looking
bad
forward
bitch.
Jeff Neal, that was it. Jeff Neal, Mike Perry. That's the fight there. There's going to be
violence.
They're thrown in that one big time. So yeah, we've got a really top pay-per-view to finish off the year next year, and then obviously we move in with Cowboy and the notorious Conor McGregor for 2020. So big times ahead coming pay-per-views.
Yep. So like we said, join in, subscribe. We'll speak to you all next week, folks.